Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is part 5 of Tafseer Al Saadi. مثلهم كمثل الذي استوقد نارا فلما أضاءت ما حوله ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم في ظلمات لا يبصرون. Their likeness is that of a man who kindled a fire. When it illuminated all around him, Allah took away their light and left them in utter darkness, unable to see. صم بكم عمي فهم لا يرجعون. Deaf, dumb, and blind, they will not return to the right path. أو كصيب من السماء فيه ظلمات ورعد وبرق يجعلون أصابعهم في آذانهم من الصواعق حذر الموت والله محيط بالكافرين. Or another likeness is that of a heavy downpour from the sky, accompanied by darkness, thunder, and lightning. Accompanied by darkness, thunder, and lightning, they put their fingers in their ears to keep out the stunning thunderclap for fear of death. But Allah encompasses the disbelievers. يكاد البرق يخطف أبصارهم كلما أضاء لهم مشوا فيه وإذا أظلم عليهم قاموا ولو شاء الله لذهب بسمعهم وأبصارهم إن الله على كل شيء قدير. The lightning almost snatches away their sight. Every time it flashes, they walk a few steps therein. But when the darkness overtakes them again, they stand still. And if Allah willed, He could take away their hearing and their sight, for Allah has power over all things. The exact likeness that describes the situation they are in is that of a man who kindled a fire. When it was very dark and his need for a fire was great, he lit it from someone else's fire, as he had no fire of his own and needed to bring it from someone else. Then when the fire illuminated the area around him and he could see his surroundings and any potential dangers, and thus he felt safe and benefited from the fire and was pleased with it, thinking that he was in control of it. Whilst he was like that, Allah took away his light. Allah took away its light so that he lost the light and any pleasure that he had felt because of it. And he remained in deep darkness, with the fire still burning, as its illumination has disappeared, but its burning effect still remained. Thus he was left in many layers of darkness: the darkness of the night, the darkness of the cloud, the darkness of the rain, and the darkness that comes after the light disappears. How will the one who is in such a situation be? That is how these hypocrites are. They took the fire of faith from the believers, but having faith was not a characteristic of them. Rather, they took the fire of faith in order to protect their lives and keep their wealth safe. So they had a kind of security in this world. Then whilst they were like that, death came to them and took away the benefit of that light. And there befell them all kinds of distress, grief, and torment, as well as the darkness of disbelief, the darkness of hypocrisy, and the darkness of various kinds of sin. After that came the darkness of the hellfire, an evil place to settle. Quran chapter 14, verse 29. Hence Allah says concerning them, deaf, that is, unable to hear the truth; dumb, that is, unable to speak the truth; blind, that is, unable to see the truth. فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ, they will not return to the right path, because they have forsaken the truth after having come to know it, so they will not return to it. so they will not return to it, unlike those who kept away from the truth as the result of ignorance and misguidance. They did not understand it, and they were more likely, and they are more likely to come back to it than the hypocrites. أو كصيب من السماء فيه ظلمات ورعد وبرق. Or another likeness is that of a heavy downpour. A heavy downpour from the sky. That is, they are like one who is caught in a heavy downpour from the sky, which is rain that comes down in copious amounts. فيه ظلمات, accompanied by darkness, namely the darkness of the night, the darkness of the cloud, and the darkness of the rain. وبرق ورعد. ورعد وبرق. ورعد, thunder, which is the sound that is heard from the cloud. وبرق, and lightning, which is the flashing light that is seen with the cloud. كلما أضاء لهم, every time it flashes, that is, every time the lightning flashes in the darkness, مشوا فيه, they will walk. They walk a few steps therein, but when the darkness overtakes them, they stand still. That is, they halt. This is the situation of the hypocrites. When they hear the Quran and its commands and prohibitions, promises and warnings, they put their fingers in their ears and turn away from its commands and prohibitions, promises and warnings. They are terrified of its warnings and disturbed by its promises to the believers. Hence, they turn away as much as they can. They turn away as much as they can, and they hate it as the one who is caught in a downpour hates it. And when he hears the thunder, he puts fingers in his ears for fear of death. In the case of the one who is caught in a downpour, that could help him to be safe. But in the case of the hypocrites, how could they become safe at the time when Allah encompasses them by His power and knowledge? So they cannot escape from Him or frustrate Him. Rather, He records their deeds and will requite them in full. As they are suffering from deafness, dumbness, and blindness in a metaphorical sense, and they are barred from paths to faith, Allah says, and if Allah willed, He could take away their hearing and their sight. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَذَهَبَ بِسَمْعِهِمْ وَأَبْصَارِهِمْ. And if Allah willed, He could take away their hearing and their sight. That is, in a physical sense. This is a warning to them, aimed to making them afraid of punishment in this world, so that they will adopt caution and be deterred from some of their evil and hypocrisy. For Allah has power over all things. Hence, nothing is beyond Him. By His power, if He wills something, He does it, and no one can prevent Him or oppose Him. In this verse and others like it, we see a refutation of the Qadaris, who say that their deeds are not subject to the power and control of Allah, as this verse shows that their deeds are among the things that are included in the words, for Allah has power over all things. يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O people, worship your Lord who created you and those who came before you, that you may become pious. الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. Who has made the earth a resting place for you, and the heavens an edifice, and sent down rain from the heavens, and brought forth therewith fruits as a provision for you. So do not set up rivals to Allah when you know better. This is a general command that is addressed to all people, instructing them to worship Him in a comprehensive way by obeying the commands of Allah, heeding His prohibitions, and believing in His words. Thus, He commands them to do that for which He created them, as He says, quote, I have not created the jinn and humans except to worship me. Surah Al-Dhariyat, Quran chapter 51, verse 56. Then Allah tells us why it is obligatory to worship Him alone, for He is your Lord who has bestowed upon you all kinds of blessings. He created you after you were nothing. He created those who came before you, and He bestowed upon you blessings, both obvious and hidden. He made the earth a resting place for you, on which you build structures for your benefit. He caused you to cultivate it and till it. He enabled you to travel from one place to another. He granted you many ways of benefiting from it. He made the heavens an edifice for the earth on which you dwell, and He placed in it benefits that you need, such as the sun, moon, and stars. وَأَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً, and sent down rain from the heavens. The word sama, translated here as heavens, refers to anything that is above you. Hence, the commentators said that what is meant by heavens, sama, here is the clouds, from which Allah sends down rain. Hence, the commentators said that what is meant by heavens, sama, here is the clouds from which Allah sends down rain. فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم, and brought forth therewith fruits. This may include other crops such as grains, dates, and so on. رزقا لكم, as a provision for you, to feed and sustain you so that you might survive by means of it and enjoy it. فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. So do not set up rivals to Allah, that is, equals from amongst His creation, which you worship as you should worship Allah, and love as you should love Allah, although they are created beings like you, who receive provisions and are under His control, having not the slightest power either in heaven or on earth, and they cannot benefit or harm you at all. وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, when you know better, that is, when you know that Allah has no partner or equal, when you know Allah has no partner or equal with regards to the power of creation, granting of provision, or control of the universe. When you know Allah has no partner or equal with regards to the power of creation, granting of provision, or control of the universe, and He has no partner in worship. So how can you worship other gods beside Him when you know these things? This is something that is very strange and extremely foolish. This verse combines the command to worship Allah alone and the prohibition on worshiping anything other than Him. This verse combines the command to worship Allah alone and the prohibition on worshiping anything other than Him. It offers clear evidence that it is obligatory to worship Him. It offers clear evidence that it is obligatory to worship Him, and that the worship of anything other than Him is invalid. This refers to Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, oneness of the divine lordship, which implies that He is the only one who creates, grants provision, and controls. If anyone accepts that He has no partner in these things, then by the same token, he should also accept that Allah has no partner in worship. This is the clearest rational evidence for the oneness of the Creator and the invalidity of associating partners with Him. The words that you may become pious, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, may be understood as meaning that if you worship Allah alone, then you will avoid His wrath and punishment, because you have taken measures toward that off from yourself. Or it may mean that if you worship Allah alone, you will become one of the pious who are described as fearing Allah. Both meanings are sound and complement one another. The one who worships Allah properly is one of the pious, and whoever is pious will be saved from the wrath and punishment of Allah. And whoever is pious will be saved from the wrath and punishment of Allah. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.